everyone. Rather astonishing how quickly another year has passed. Here we are at the close of 2025, and it's time to take a deep breath and survey the landscape of British Columbia, the major milestones and the moments that truly tested us. This past year was a bit of a kaleidoscope of activity spanning the halls of power in Victoria to the diverse communities scattered across our mountains and vast coastlines. I'm Dan Burwood, and you're watching CBC News B.C.'s annual review, our definitive look at the stories that mattered most in 2025.
Another early morning shooting targeting glass windows and parked car at this trucking business in Surrey.
Actually, like this early morning, 3:15, they got a shot our office this morning. Like two guys came on a black vehicle.
Raghbir Singh Nijjar owns the business. He says two men in a black car drove in and fired at the building and the parked cars.
We attended and we found evidence of shots having been fired. Officers observed damage to both vehicles and buildings. Thankfully, there were staff on scene, but they were uninjured.
Police say just a day before there was an attempted arson at the same location.
Early yesterday morning at about 4 o'clock in the morning, where security on the site at the same business scared away some suspects who were looking to burn some vehicles there using gasoline.
Last August, Nijjar's house in Surrey's Port Kells neighborhood was shot at, and the perpetrators tried to set his car on fire. Police are still investigating that incident, but Nijjar says there have been no updates. He says after the first incident, he received an extortion call from a gangster based in India demanding $500,000.
They gotta continue calling, asking for monies, right? But we already report RCMP or Surrey Police, right, for everything.
He has also served as the president of Guru Nanak Sikh Temple in Surrey from 2016 to 18. It's the same temple where Hardeep Singh Nijjar was assassinated exactly 2 years ago. Nijjar says the attacks on his home and his business are a result of foreign interference. None of his claims have been corroborated. Surrey police say they are investigating whether or not the shooting incident from the last year is connected to this latest shooting and if the targeted shootings are extortion related. Saurabh Sandhu, CBC News, Surrey.
You can see right behind me the ostriches everybody's been talking about. And right next to them, on the other side, here you see RVs, tents. People have set up camps. They came from Calgary, BC, Ontario, and they're here to show their support to the farmers. And they say they are here to stay. Some have been here actually for a month. And earlier today, the RCMP showed up. They were here to talk to people, and emotion ran quite high. But people stayed peaceful. And I spoke to Katie Passitney. She's the owner's daughter. And what she really wants is to protect the ostriches and also to have them retested, because they are very attached to their animals, and they disagree with the Canadian Federal Food Inspection Agency. And they're saying that killing the birds is not the solution to the spread of the avian flu.
This stretch of Fraser Street had been closed for days after the Lapu-Lapu tragedy. It reopened Wednesday morning. There's traffic on the roads, the sidewalks are busy, but if you ask people in this community, life feels anything but normal.
We have so many people die. That's why I'm very sad.
It's going to be a known spot now for Canada, Vancouver.
The wounds are far from healed.
We're the Filipino. We just came here in Canada to better life and secure our family, and then suddenly like this.
The police tape now gone. Another memorial growing at the corner of Fraser and 43rd, where the vehicle rammed through the crowd on Saturday.
I want to do some big crosses. I'll put some Virgin Mary, Mama Mary.
Local Filipino Catholic Jose Jackson plans to build an altar here.
If I put it here, otherwise a lot of people can see. It's a big street, right? People still sad about what happened in the incident.
A police presence still visible on Wednesday as officers continued their search for witnesses. Those who live nearby want to see a commitment to community safety.
Everybody is not comfortable.
There's no words to express, really.
even me, I'm still shaken up.
I hope this is a lesson from the government that should be secure everyone of the neighborhood.
As more flowers are placed down, so too grow the calls for justice.
What would really, I think, kind of honor their memory is a swift and transparent investigation into the tragedy, and also just kind of a larger investigation of the kind of like current systems that are supposed to keep us safe in the first place.
Each of these memorials are growing moment by moment, a symbol of a community forever changed. John Hernandez, CBC News, Vancouver.
Former Vancouver Mayor Gregor Robertson in Ottawa in the federal cabinet, a star candidate for Vancouver Fraserview South Burnaby, now responsible for housing. Joining him is Delta's Jill McKnight, another new MP tasked with Veterans Affairs, also Associate Minister of National Defence. Local BC politicians say the province is well represented and will have influence.
I think BC is seen in the country as a very important player when it comes to solving some of our greatest challenges. 5 in BC, I think, is a good representation and speaks to the important role that we play on the West Coast.
There's also 3 secretaries of state from BC. Longtime Surrey Centre MP Randeep Sarai for International Development. Stephanie McLean, elected in Esquimalt Saanich Sooke, is a Secretary of State for Seniors. And Kelowna's Stephen Fuhrer, a former military pilot, will serve as Secretary for Defence Procurement. BC's Housing Minister says he's pleased with the BC representation in the federal cabinet. He already has demands for Minister Robertson. He wants Ottawa to connect federal funding to the number of new permanent residents that come to each province.
We need to ensure that there's fair infrastructure dollars being made available to communities throughout British Columbia. We need to ensure that there's investments being made in affordable housing, Indigenous housing, replacing SROs. So the list is long.
Notably absent from Mark Carney's cabinet is North Vancouver Capilano's Jonathan Wilkinson. He was a stalwart of Justin Trudeau's government, holding several positions: energy and natural resources, fishery and oceans, and environment and climate change. Wilkinson posted a lengthy response on social media about not being named to cabinet, not sour grapes, but a list of his achievements and perhaps a challenge to his new cabinet. Wealth must be created, not merely redistributed, he says. A thriving, growing economy fuels the programs and protections that define our way of life, and importantly, in the long run, no economy, no society can flourish without an unwavering commitment to environmental sustainability. The new cabinet in Ottawa will hold its first meeting on Wednesday, and while devising a plan to bolster this country's economy and balance U.S.-Canada relations, it will also need to look inward to understand regional needs and how to help provinces like BC thrive. Chad Pawson, CBC News, Vancouver.
The federal transport critic requested Monday's meeting. He wants to know why taxpayer dollars are being invested in overseas shipbuilding, all while China charges tariffs on some Canadian products.
I find it outrageous that the Crown Corporation, known as the Canadian Infrastructure Bank, is actively financing the outsourcing of Canadian jobs.
BC Ferries announced last month it hired a Chinese shipyard to build 4 new hybrid vessels after a 5-year procurement process. No Canadian shipyard bid on the proposal, and the Canada Infrastructure Bank contributed $1 billion to the deal.
My focus is largely on getting answers so that people can know whether or not their government, remember the government that said elbows up, Canada strong, we can build it together, is in fact actually financing the outsourcing of Canadian jobs.
A Liberal MP for Victoria is in favor of studying the bank's decision and is encouraging fellow committee members not to jump to conclusions.
We need to hear this witness testimony, Mr. Chair, and we need to have the opportunity to reflect on the questions that have been raised. But I encourage my colleagues to stop using BC Ferries and BC coastal communities as a punching bag to make points that we have heard before.
BC Ferries tells CBC News in a statement it selected the most comprehensive bid that provides the best value for customers and delivers these ferries on the time frame they're needed, and that the loan would be paid back to the CIB. BC's Premier says he hopes when the federal committee looks at this loan BC Ferries received, that they also see the difference in how ferry users in BC and Atlantic Canada are treated in terms of funding.
Atlantic Canada has their ferries paid for. In fact, a ferry built at the exact same Chinese shipyard as the BC ferries are going to be built at, had their ferry paid for in its entirety, whereas the West Coast only qualifies for a loan.
In Monday's meeting, the Transport Committee voted unanimously to call in the federal infrastructure and transport ministers, as well as the BC Ferries and Canada Infrastructure Bank CEOs to testify within the next month. Michelle Morton, CBC News, Vancouver.
Deep under this remote terrain in BC's northwest, 3 miners are trapped behind tons of rock down a tunnel 600 meters long, the length of the CN Tower.
They are, to the best of our knowledge, uninjured and in a refuge area. There was early communication with the company. The company is working with our world-leading mining rescue teams.
A spokesperson for the Colorado-based mining company Newmont says there were fall-of-ground incidents where a mining tunnel collapses. After the first, workers managed to get to a refuge station. Then a second collapse cut off communications, with no word from the workers since. In a statement, Newmont says it is actively assessing all methods and technologies available to restore communication and safely bring our team members to surface.
Like a slough of the wall or the side wall, so they're blocked in by rocks.
The union, representing more than 400 workers at the mine, says the 3 workers are contractors. He says they were in the mine for specialized drilling work.
And so they're boring the hole to get into block cave operations within the next 3 years.
The Red Chris mine is an open-pit copper and gold mining operation in the process of transitioning to using a block cave technique, which, according to the company's promotional materials, involves digging under and methodically blasting the ore deposit from below. To help with the rescue, heavy equipment is being moved from nearby Bruce Jack mine.
It's going to take some time for them to figure out what's causing that fall of ground and what's the strategy to probably stabilize that rock around the tunnel, and then excavate out the fallen debris and then get back down to the trapped people.
Lower taxes, taking away teachers' right to strike, a crackdown on so-called mass immigration, and an end to BC's, quote, reconciliation industry. These are a few of the policy planks of a new political party called One BC, formed by 2 of the 3 independent MLAs.
Hunger out there for the policies that the BC Conservative Party initially put forward and we all ran on.
Dallas Brody is the interim leader. Tara Armstrong is the House leader.
That we've got people, the base, disillusioned with what's happening with that party.
Absent from the ticket is the 3rd independent MLA, Jordan Keeley.
There was a disagreement in what our perspectives were. And I think that's one of the reasons why I asked to just have more time to think about things.
The party registered with Elections BC on Monday. The party sent an email in an attempt to poach some BC Conservative MLAs. So far, none have taken the bait. Here's how we got here. In March, Brody was kicked out of the Conservative caucus over comments which leader John Rustad said mocked residential school survivors. Armstrong and Keeley left in solidarity, accusing Rustad of diluting Conservative values. Since then, the 3 independents have called for the repeal of the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples and pushed for an end to sexual orientation and gender identity, or SOGI, policies in schools. Forming an official party gives the 2 MLAs a pay raise for party leader and House leader. Also, funding for caucus staff and more opportunities to ask questions in the legislature. This former BC Liberal, BC United Communications Director says the new party could siphon off votes from the BC Conservatives, which is also facing a challenge from another new party, Corinne Kirkpatrick's Centre BC.
It's going to be a war on 2 fronts, which is not something that we've necessarily seen before.
Rustad declined to comment on Thursday. Political watchers, though, say Rustad should ignore the upstart party at his peril. Katie DeRosa, CBC News, Victoria.
Hands off Canada, to respect us as a sovereign, independent, free country.
Just over a week ago, MP Don Davies campaigning in his Vancouver Kingsway riding. He eked out a narrow win, one of 3 in normally NDP-friendly BC and one of 7 total seats for the party nationwide. It's a vast reduction from the 26 it had in the last parliament. Those losses led to the resignation of long-term NDP leader Jagmeet Singh. But the party's not dead and could have a role to play in this upcoming parliament, able to supply the Liberals with the votes it might need. Leading them through this is Davies, a stalwart of the NDP. He's been in minority parliaments before, now stepping in as temporary federal leader. The party says that he will work closely with our caucus, council, and party members to set a path forward as preparations begin for a leadership race in the months ahead. His NDP colleagues, Labour supporters, and academics say Don Davies is a good choice.
Don will help be fighting for people, to ensure that we get support for people, that we fight to protect our healthcare system and build affordable homes and build an economy that works for everyday people.
And I'm quite confident in his ability to be able to lead us through what is a difficult time. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but he's a hardworking guy, and I think he's ready to get to work.
He's the senior most member of the much diminished caucus, having been first elected back in 2008, so he has a lot of experience.
Political scientists say one of Davies' first priorities could be to convince the government to lower requirements for official party status, so that despite its diminished numbers, the NDP could qualify for additional funding, speak during question period, and be guaranteed seats on standing committees. Chad Pawson, CBC News, Vancouver.
RCMP surround a Cessna on the tarmac at Vancouver International Airport. The 39-year-old man arrested is now charged with a terrorism offense, hijacking the aircraft.
In 80 years, this has never happened before, so we're all a little bit surprised, would be a mild way of putting it.
Across the water at the Victoria Flying Club, shock that it all involved one of their planes. The owner of the club says the accused was not a member there, but this was where he came in, posing as a potential passenger before the incident.
How did this person get into the cockpit of a Cessna 172 airplane?
This expert says it's clear the pilot was experienced.
He knew where Vancouver Airport was, and he was circling it at an altitude that was, enough to make the air traffic controllers very nervous.
The incident grounded flights at YVR, diverting passengers to airports hundreds of kilometers away from their destination. At the same time, we now know American F-15 fighter jets were scrambled to respond, but NORAD says the Cessna landed safely before it could be intercepted. There are strict protocols about who can fly a plane. A pilot needs a valid operating license and a flight plan. But this expert says safety protocols should be reviewed in light of this incident.
We've got to make sure that the protocols we have at these flight schools might have to get changed in terms of, looking at making sure that there's a heightened level of awareness and security being exercised at these flight schools.
The accused appeared in court Wednesday and was charged. He was ordered to remain in custody for an assessment. Jessica Chung, CBC News, Vancouver.
Police say around 3:30 Wednesday afternoon, 3 people were hit by a TransLink bus near the Horseshoe Bay ferry terminal. Officers have now confirmed a 4-year-old boy has died. His mother is in a critical condition, while her friend is in stable condition in hospital. Vaughn Nelson witnessed the aftermath of the deadly crash. He says he is extremely shaken up.
So I saw it leave from the spot, and then it suddenly did a right turn. And then I heard all the screaming and everything. So I kept walking towards the bus, and then I saw the lady pinned underneath the bus.
It's unclear what led to the collision. Sergeant Chris Bigland with West Vancouver Police says it will take time to process the scene.
The investigation is dynamic and has many moving parts.
Police are asking anyone with dash cam footage to contact them. TransLink says it is working with police on the investigation. West Vancouver Mayor Mark Sager is expressing profound sadness for those impacted by the the tragedy. Amelia John, CBC News, West Vancouver.
Red Dress Day is an important day for all Canadians, not just for Indigenous people. It's to bring awareness to our missing and murdered Indigenous women and to center our families who have lost their loved ones, and to bring awareness that this epidemic of our Indigenous women going missing or murdered has to stop.
It's about remembering our sisters that were stolen from us. It's about remembering our family members and friends that are still missing and acknowledging them. Their names need to be said out loud, and we also need to remember them.
The things that I was really hoping to do is to create awareness among non-Indigenous people, because our people know what MMIW means. So thankful that there was an event this morning in North Vancouver with our CMP, and then this event here, and there's another event this evening. So I'm very, very thankful that everyone has pulled together to make it a good day.
Stony Creek on the Burnaby-Coquitlam border is usually a place where people come to enjoy nature, but they're being confronted by a mystery. Young salmon are dying off.
I'm tired of walking the trails and meeting my neighbors and having them in tears saying, oh my God, there's a big fish kill, you got to do something.
This isn't the first time local streamkeepers say something like this has happened. Back in 2021, hundreds of young dead fish were reported. Locals say they're struggling to understand why it seems to be happening again.
I saw heavy black tar trapped in a containment boom that's at the culvert, but unfortunately the containment boom was releasing some of this tar into the creek, and I would watch it spread downstream.
The waterway is a haven for young fish like coho and chum salmon.
There's also the xʷməthkվəy, which live in this creek, which is a type of fish. The only place in Canada where they live is here in the Burnett River.
Susanna Kovacic is also a chemist at Simon Fraser University and has been monitoring the water for various chemicals.
So I've been looking at hexavalent chromium, which is a carcinogen that is present in concrete. So when concrete is being poured, hexavalent chromium can get into the water that washes across that concrete.
It's not clear what has caused the fish to die, but some residents suspect runoff from nearby construction sites may be a factor. On Tuesday, officers from Environment and Climate Change Canada were on scene to investigate. The City of Burnaby says it will issue fines if a business or person is found to be responsible. Amelia John, CBC News, Burnaby.
Health officials say it's unusual to see this many beaches in Metro Vancouver with high levels of E. coli bacteria. Despite the no-swim advisories, not everyone is staying away from the water and the beaches.
We're just dipping our legs in now. We're not really swimming, we're not submerging ourselves in it.
It's really nice and quiet, but we can't go swimming.
There are no swim advisories at almost every beach in Vancouver, and investigations are underway at others.
Not very commonly do we see so many all at the same time.
Notices are up at beaches including Tower Beach, Second Beach, Third Beach, Kitsilano, Sunset Beach, English Bay, Trout Lake, as well as Dunderave Beach and Lions Bay. What's causing the E. coli levels to multiply?
Typical sources that we see are from runoff from sewers or leaking sewage. Other human sources can include discharge from boats that might be on the water. Animal sources like dogs and birds in the area can be a source of contamination with E. coli as well.
Health officials are still trying to pinpoint the exact reason. And with another stretch of hot summer weather, there is some concern boats on the water could lead to higher bacteria levels.
Especially with some of the festivals that we have coming around. So there's that possibility that discharge from boats might be contributing to it.
Skookum Yacht Services pumps out waste from boats, otherwise known as blackwater, to keep it out of local waters. He says boat owners are generally responsible, but admits rules aren't strict.
So it's pretty, the federal rules are pretty open-ended. Very much open to interpretation, and there's absolutely no enforcement of them, at all.
Some boaters say sewage overflows could be contributing to the problem.
In the creek, and you can see it. It's as if you had a mouthful of milk and you blew it through a straw into a glass of milk. You can see it bubbling up, and when you're close to it, you can smell it. It smells like poop.
The swimming advisories are in place until follow-up samples show that the water is safe. For now, the advice is to stay out of the water, and if you do, wash off afterwards, especially before handling food. Mira Baines, CBC News, Vancouver.
Bruce Richards and Roxanne Davidson are the victims of the violent incident in this quiet neighborhood in Maple Ridge. They were a retired couple in their 60s, found dead in their home Wednesday along with their dog, their car set on fire. The incident shocking longtime friend Daryl Lucas.
I couldn't even speak. I lost words.
He first met Richards in the 80s and Davidson after that.
Just beautiful people. That's really what I would like to talk about is how beautiful they were. Two of the nicest people you've ever come across.
Together for decades, they had several children and grandchildren.
They've got a beautiful family and friends that are hurting. It's just mind-boggling to this day. I just don't know. And I can't imagine the grief the family's going through right now.
Richards was a teacher and Davidson had worked at a bank. They were enjoying retirement.
It's not supposed to happen to these people like that. They're supposed to live another 30 years, traveling the world like they were doing those fun things, outdoor stuff. That's what they were supposed to have. And tragically, it's not going to happen.
Police say their deaths are the result of a neighborhood dispute. They say the suspect in the case, who lived across the street, died of an apparent suicide. Neighbors tell CBC News the couple and the suspect had been feuding for years over issues like street parking, backyard fires, and the couple's dog.
He was antagonizing them. It's been going on for quite a long time.
Police were called to the neighborhood hours before the killings, but made no arrests. They have not released the suspect's name, but he's believed to be a man in his late 40s or early 50s. The couple's family is requesting privacy at this time. Yasmin Ranea, CBC News, Vancouver.
Days after tragedy struck on the water in North Vancouver, loved ones of Lionel Hall say they are left with many questions.
Who's watching these areas? Who's patrolling this? Are they doing checks on the regular?
The little boy died after police say he was hit by a speedboat while being towed in an inflatable tube off Kate's Park on Saturday. Hall died at the scene. A second child was airlifted to hospital in serious condition. Police say alcohol and speed are being looked at as factors. Lionel's death has watergoers wondering about enforcement.
We have more enforcers here at the dock or the parking lot or in the water. Incidents like what happened wouldn't happen.
Enforcement is not everywhere. It can't be. So you have to take on a lot of the responsibility yourself.
These waters are so popular. This community is only growing, and that's all you see is boats. So I would like to see more enforcement.
So who is in charge? The province says enforcement on the water is federal jurisdiction, but Transport Canada says it's typically handled by the RCMP or local police marine units. North Vancouver Mounties say officers patrol the city, district, and Two Nations, but it's more complex on the water.
South, and then it's Burnaby, and then, east, it's Coquitlam, and then further down, it's Vancouver. So where does that line, right? So it's a shared responsibility.
Zahak says police cannot suspend a boater's license like they can for a driver on land. Lionel's family and friends are calling for more concrete responsibilities.
If it was clear, maybe little Lionel would still be here and his friend would not be in ICU.
Mounties say the driver of the speedboat was arrested and released. He has not been charged with any crimes, but RCMP say a court date has been set for late August. Michelle Morton, CBC News, North Vancouver.
xʷməthkվəy has a couple different sounds that aren't in the English language, and so I'll help introduce you to new sounds. So, and if you know how to say the English word xʷməthkվəy, you've got half the word. So we're at xʷməthkվəy, and then the last part of the word is awesome. That's the part that means view. Yes. xʷməthkվəy, awesome. The S with the little V on top is called an S with a ha check. It makes the sound sh, like in the English word shell. And the X with the little W, it doesn't make a sound, but it is air flowing through your mouth with rounded lips. So sort of like if you were blowing out a candle. It takes up the same amount of space as the sh sound does, but you just won't hear it. The theta, the circle with the line through it, it makes the English TH sound. So like the word bath. Okay, just wait, let me think about this. I think using the English word awesome is a good guide for the last part of the hunt community word, xʷməthkվəy awesome. Even though that's not what it means. Yeah, it'll be all right. xʷməthkվəy awesome. xʷməthkվəy awesome.
As the wildfire continues to burn, smoke has settled over much of Vancouver Island, prompting concerns.
I have been coughing on and off throughout the day, and especially at nighttime, depending on what I've been doing in my day.
Island Health has issued an air quality warning for the East and Inland Island. BC Wildfire says smoke is coming from the Mount Underwood fire, but is combining with smoke from the Wesley Ridge wildfire as well.
We should expect to see hopefully a reduction in smoke if we see the rain.
The city of Port Alberni and the regional district are stepping up to address the health concerns, especially for unhoused people, making resources available and opening a reception center. Those working with vulnerable people say this makes a difference, as in emergency situations, unhoused people often are left out.
We're very thankful for the opportunity to have our voice heard. We're very thankful for the opportunity to be able to speak in those environments. It means a lot that the city does care about the vulnerable population, and that I'm able to come back and tell all our friends face to face that, no, I was chatting with the mayor today and she assured us that you guys are going to be taken care of. That really means a lot, and it really puts people at ease.
But it's not just Port Alberni, with smoke reaching as far as Parksville, where on Thursday morning the annual Sandcastle Festival had to close due to air quality for the health and safety of their volunteers.
When I came here this morning, our tables and chairs and everything were covered in ash. We are right on the edge of the waterfront here, and you could not see across the bay at the trees in the buildings on the other side. It was completely smoked out.
Rain might help alleviate some air quality issues over the coming days on the Mid-Island, but smoke is expected to be persistent until the end of summer. Claire Palmer, CBC News, Port Alberni.
Through drumming and ceremony, a community comes together to mourn and grieve after a night of excitement and joy gave way to a shocking tragedy.
My kids were here. We're on our last ride, 2 rides away.
The incident happened at the Zipper, a ride that rotates fairgoers in multiple carts quickly around itself. Cymbia Barnaby says her daughter was in line with others to get on the ride when it happened.
What my daughter had told me was that he was struck. And then people were calling out for help and trying to stop the rides. That there were people caught in the rides until they were able to get EMS and all that kind of stuff in here.
On Wednesday, people lay flowers in a memorial in front of the ride. And in the early afternoon, Barnaby led a ceremony to help heal the trauma people experienced at the Carnival.
There's a lot of things that people witnessed that they're taking on, and we want to just make sure that they're sober.
She says the ceremony is for people from Prince Rupert, but also for employees of the Carnival who lost a friend and co-worker. Prince Rupert Mayor Herb Pond was also in attendance. He says it's important that people find a way to cope with the tragedy.
How do you have a conversation even with your child about it? And I think people worry about saying nothing is not good, but saying too much maybe is not good. And I think that's where coming out and grabbing some of the resources that are available.
In a statement, Shooting Star Amusements identified the victim as a dear friend and a great man, but did not release any personal details. WorkSafe BC, Technical Safety BC, and the Provincial Coroner's Service are all investigating. Brady Strachan, CBC News, Kelowna.
Yeah, look right behind there. Right here, it has some, right there, denim, right there.
This is where Tricia Hill spends most of her time, surrounded by vintage finds at her store in Burnaby.
Selling thrift and vintage clothing, used clothing is a chore, it's a labor of love.
Stocks Vintage opened just 6 months before COVID hit. Hill runs the store with her husband and sons, and while the business weathered the pandemic, she says they are now facing a different challenge: theft.
So it's been progressively increasing since COVID.
Last week, Hill says a man walked into her Burnaby store and walked out with a Carhartt jacket valued around $300.
We trusted him, had a nice conversation, tried to sell him as a customer, and within seconds, less than 30 seconds, he stole an expensive jacket.
RCMP confirm they are investigating the theft and say shoplifting has increased significantly in Burnaby. Last year, there were more than 3,600 shoplifting calls in that city, up 51% from 2023. In March, a 2-day initiative at Metrotown led to 22 arrests and the recovery of more than $2,800 in stolen goods. Still, Hill says thefts continue and some are strikingly bold.
He puts it there, he's about to put it in his bag right now. There he goes. Stealing. Because that particular guy stole it and then tried to sell it back to us in the same minute.
Hill says theft across her 3 stores have been frequent, with her Vancouver location losing $12,000 last year. She's installed more security cameras, but the added precautions come with costs. And she is not the only BC business facing growing issues with crime. Vancouver police reported a 12% increase in shoplifting last year, with a 40% spike in the city's downtown core.
There have been many businesses that have, in fact, gone out of business because of it.
In response, Vancouver City Council created a retail security task force aimed at enforcement and addressing root causes like addiction and mental illness.
So you can't just throw these people in jail and throw the key away. That's just not the right thing to do. You need a full continuum of care.
For Hill, it's about protecting a space she's poured her heart into.
It's just disheartening when people are coming in with bad intentions.
Surrey, CBC News, Burnaby.
Gran Fondo literally means big ride. They're a celebration of cycling, showcasing beautiful geography along local roads.
So wonderful. They're amazing events. Get together with people and enjoy the scenery, have the camaraderie of working together, but also trying to improve yourself. It's just an amazing experience. So it ties together all the things I love about cycling.
Jonathan Balog rode the Okanagan Gran Fondo Penticton, part of a team, but the good vibes at the race turned somber after a fatal accident along the course.
They did have volunteers there slowing us all down, helping us to walk past the event, the accident scene, and they had everything covered up. So it was at that point that we started to realize this was more than just a simple fall from a cyclist, that this was something serious. There was a heavily cracked windshield.
One person was killed and another 2 were injured here on White Lake Road near St. Andrews Drive. Police say the incident involved a motor vehicle on a hilly section of the course where the highway is 2 lanes. Organizers aren't saying much other than they're heartbroken over the tragedy. Our prayers are with those impacted, says a statement. We are fully cooperating with the authorities at this time. Penticton's mayor says everyone around the race is hurting and wants to know how this could happen.
So, and Gran Fondo is kind of like a big family, you know, with a lot of the riders that come back year after year. And so it's particularly tragic.
Around 2,000 riders participate in this event, which has been in Penticton since 2011. The city's mayor says it's well managed, well run, and has been safe. He's hoping on the RCMP investigation to determine what went wrong this year and what can be learned from it. Chad Pawson, CBC News, Vancouver.
The big thing is we are gathered here today because a cyclist lost his life and another cyclist remains recovering from his injuries.
Shane Kelly was riding his bike with his RCMP officer training partner on July 7th. The pair getting in shape for a Cops for Cancer tour to raise money for childhood cancer research. The 2 were hit by a passing vehicle. Kelly's partner was seriously injured, and Kelly later died in hospital. Gallo said he was the shining light of his team.
It did not matter if it was raining, it did not matter if it was hot, it did not matter if it was a long ride and another uphill. He had a smile and he had something positive to say, and that's how he lived his life.
Kelly's collision isn't an outlier in the province. Less than a week after Kelly was struck, another Prince George cyclist, a 17-year-old, was hospitalized after being hit by a vehicle. On July 12th, another cyclist died and 2 others were seriously injured after being hit by a vehicle during the Okanagan Gran Fondo cycling event near Penticton. Kelly's friends hope this ride brings awareness about cycling safety and closure for fellow riders.
I know that there's been numerous people that have had a hard time getting back on their bikes, and I hope it just helps them do it too. It helped. Honestly, I had a hard time getting back on my bike as well for the first week or two.
Prince George's acting mayor says Kelly's death has touched the community deeply and brought cycling safety to the forefront.
We shouldn't have to have a police escort around cyclists. This shouldn't be the way things are. And hopefully with this renewed awareness, it won't be.
Gallo said continuing to fundraise without Kelly will be a difficult journey.
Everywhere we go, people always ask us, why we're riding, so we tell them, we're riding for the children, mighty children.
Kelly's Cops for Cancer fundraising page now has raised over $120,000 for childhood cancer research. The Tour de North begins in Prince George on September 12th. Anna Peterson, CBC News, Prince George.
Colors, sparkles, and cheers filled the streets of downtown Vancouver Sunday. The city's annual Pride Parade drew thousands.
Pride is a way for me to express myself as a queer person and dress the way I want and feel like myself.
There's so many wonderful and beautiful, LGBTQ people in the world, and we should all be recognized and be treated equally.
It's like a lovely community to see everyone come together, even just allies, so it's really nice.
Among Pride goers was Prime Minister Mark Carney.
It's to be who we want to be, it's to love whom we want to love, it's the freedom, it's the diversity, it's the pride, it's the celebration, it's what's great about our country, and I'm just thrilled to be part of it.
This year's parade was shorter and simpler than previous years. Organizers say they were forced to make do with budget cuts after about half of their corporate sponsors backed out, among them Lululemon and Walmart.
The U.S. companies are seeing a lot of pressure about DEI and making too much noise about inclusion and diversity, and that's a real shame. There's also, if you're having financial hardship as a corporation, it seems that cutting the Pride events and the support there is the easiest route.
Auger says despite financial strain, the Pride Society has every intention of keeping the yearly celebration going and have asked the city to help sponsor the event in the future. It's something Mayor Ken Sim says could be a possibility.
We'll obviously look at it, and I can, it's disappointing that other sponsors have stepped away, but at the City of Vancouver, we've maintained our commitment and we support Pride.
Vancouver's celebration is Canada's oldest Pride parade, dating back to the 70s when it began as a protest march through Davie Village.
And pride is really important because it's so much better to celebrate our rights than to fight to get them back.
Organizers say it's a tradition that must continue. Michelle Gomez, CBC News, Vancouver.
It's the end of the fourth inning at Nat Bailey Stadium, and the countdown is on. This is the Sushi race, which sees people dressed up as sushi and other foodstuffs run around the bases. It's been a staple at C's games since 2008. Moments earlier, competitors prepped for the big race by getting their game faces on. Some wait quietly, while others perform stretches before making their way out to the field. There's a pair of chopsticks named Chop and Sticks, Miss BC Roll, Bad Guy Chef Wasabi, and Sadaharu Soy, a bottle of soy sauce named after Japanese baseball legend Sadaharu Oh. The team's marketing director says the race is good fun, but the racers take it seriously.
Let's just say those who don the costumes of the mascots are pretty competitive folk.
Team officials say it all started in 2008 when the Canadians' new owners wanted to do a local version of the famed sausage race in Milwaukee. Sushi seemed like a natural choice. The sushi race may seem like silliness, but team officials say it's an essential part of their brand. Minor league teams rely on ticket sales rather than broadcast revenue, so the in-person experience at the ballpark is critical. Crowd pleasers like the Sushi race are a big part of the minor league experience. There's also the fact that most players on the Canadians are only with the team for a short time, so in many ways, the Sushi racers are the face of the franchise. A CBC News request to interview the racers was declined, with a team official saying the Sushi racers talk with their feet. The Sushi races even survived changes in team ownership. The Canadians were sold to a U.S. private equity group in 2023.
Most of the people who go to Nat Bailey do not know the names of the players. I would even think maybe half the people there are uncertain that they are an affiliate of the Toronto Blue Jays, that these are baby Blue Jays who may make the majors. They're going for an event.
On this day, it was Chop, part of the husband and wife tandem of Chop and Sticks, who came out on top with a dramatic come-from-behind victory.
We don't have a Luongo, we don't have the Sedin twins, we have Sushi. One thing I will say is Chef Wasabi, as I mentioned, is probably as big as any fixture in the stadium.
Despite fans' insatiable appetite for the Sushi race, the success of the sprint hasn't gone to the racers' large heads. After every dash, they take time to greet fans, and they do it all with a smile on their face. John Aspiri, CBC News, Vancouver.
Well, the City of Vancouver has officially opened its new bike lanes and pedestrian paths here on the Granville Connector after years of upgrades. And one of the features folks are talking about are these little asphalt lumps or ramps, as you might call them that. So they've got some yellow paint on them, all of them punctuated with nice little benches for you to sit down and take in the view. But while the city is always good looking, people have different opinions of these raised bench areas on the Granville Bridge.
Well, everything about it's odd, right? It looks like a last-minute idea. That's all.
I don't know what they were kind of thinking about this.
I was wondering who would sit on them.
Well, here, sit on it with me. Well, what do you think of the view from here?
The view is great.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of blocked, but it was a little better standing over there.
It's a bit of an odd construction, that's all I can say. At least they painted it yellow so you don't run into it.
The city's engineering manager says many parts of the newly opened bridge are temporary, including these ramps.
The ramps really allow people in wheelchairs or scooters to be able to change levels, because there's the high-level sidewalk and there's the low-level sidewalk. We're already looking at the opportunities to kind of do further enhancements, which might involve replacing those asphalt ramps with concrete patios or things like that.
Rode across that bridge once, walked across that bridge once, and it was absolutely horrible. You go across that bridge now, it's 1,000 times better.
I have a friend in a wheelchair. Sometimes downtown Vancouver is not accessible enough for him because they don't cut ramps down in there and we have to find another way around, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Some folks are saying it looks weird, but do you think the function is more important than the form?
Definitely, right? We've included everybody in that, so people with strollers too.
It could be some time until more tweaks are made to the bridge, but for now, there's a little more space to walk and roll on one of the city's main bridges, and a couple of okay-looking places to sit too. Keir Juno, CBC News, Vancouver.
If you're looking for a really good deal, but in a really gritty area, we have a listing on Main and Hastings, right across the street from the safe injection site.
Real estate agent Darcy Schlettliner didn't shy away from the reality of her new post. Instead, she leaned into it, pitching a 3-condo home across from the downtown east side supervised drug consumption site as a sale for a, quote, brave buyer.
So we decided we were going to embrace the limitations and not sugarcoat the listing whatsoever, because obviously anyone who comes here is going to see the neighborhood, and it may not be for everybody.
Her transparency paid off. The video blew up, and it wasn't all good news.
We had 14,500 shares. We had over 1,200 comments, majority of them negative.
But the place sold in just 9 days. Despite the negative feedback, the attention drew interest. Others in the industry say it was a unique approach.
I thought it was very honest, and I actually shared it with a group of colleagues. So I thought leaning into it, it should come as no surprise that when people show up at the door, they know exactly where they're going.
You have laminate floors, fresh paint, feature wall.
A surprising quick sale in a market that slowed down, with more supply than demand in the face of high interest rates and global uncertainty, leaving the ball in the buyer's court.
It's not just that prices have fallen, they've fallen a little bit, but buyers have a lot more breathing room. It's probably a much more pleasant experience to shop for a home now than it was, say, 3 or 4 years ago.
But Scalina adds the biggest risk is making generalizations about the market as a whole.
There are certain submarkets that are outperforming the rest of the market. So having a good understanding of which submarket you're in can go a long way.
It's a reminder that while market trends matter, pricing, timing, and transparency still plays a huge role in what's bought and sold.
I'm a true advocate of the truth, right? You're going to come here, go to the open house, and perhaps be horrified outside anyways, right? So I figured if we showed the safe injection site, we showed the graffiti, we showed people camping on the streets, and we just let people know, like, this is not for you.
This real estate agent shows that a little transparency might be what it takes to close a deal. Shivani Joshi, CBC News, Vancouver.
That brings us to the end of our review of 2025. Clear that this year provided ample proof BC is never short of news and compelling stories. From all of us here at CBC News B.C, thank you for making us your trusted source of information. I'm Dan Burritt. Good night. Thanks for watching.